I saw a meme. I don't know if it was a meme. It was a meme the other day, and it was if someone bumps into your elbow while you're holding a cup of coffee and it spills on the computer, whose fault is that? And you'd be in your rights to say, well, that person made me bump my elbow, right? So it then puts the coffee comes out of the cup, lands on the computer. So it was that person's fault. That, believe it or not, is a victim's mentality. That is pointing at somebody else saying it's their fault. And that only leaves you in one position. It leaves you in one position only, that you do not have control over that situation and you are now a victim. So the flip side of that is I was standing there. I chose to stand there. I chose to go get a cup of coffee. I chose to drink it, and I chose to stand right in front of the computer so that when that person bumped into me, it would be my fault because all my decisions led to me being there at that moment. So no matter what happens outside of this, I am responsible. I'm responsible for not paying attention to that person coming, perhaps.
Mm.
There's so many versions of you taking ownership of the whole thing of when something happens to you. And you could be thinking, and and you're in your right to think too. I would have thought this at the same point. At some point, I would be thinking the same thing. That no, that's not true because well, they over there did something right. This they had to. If they hadn't have done this, then that wouldn't have happened. But that might be true. That might be true. But where does it leave you? What
Mm.
position of power are you left in if they did that and you had no control over it? You are now in this position of weakness. Now you have nothing to do. You sit there in the hurt, or you sit there in the reality of this is my circumstances. This is it. Nothing I can do about it. All over there with them. Okay, great. Now you've blamed them. It's all on them. Now, what do you have? What do you have in your pocket? What do you have in your hands? You have nothing. You just have blame, all that's left. Now, if you flip that again to, it's on me. They did that, but I'm responsible for this.
Mm.
Here's what I'm going to do
Yep.
about that. It makes you the owner of everything that's going on. And I say this, it's simple analogy with the coffee and the computer, but where else do we do that in life? Especially with business, with our careers, our bosses, or if you have difficult customers, you have employees that work for you. Well, they did this. They are this way. I wish I had people who are more bought into my business. Man, that's no. Now you're a victim. You're the leader of your business. You're an entrepreneur who has people who depend on you, and you're blaming them, right? That's not a good place to be.
Mm-mm.
And it's painful. It's difficult. It's an ego bump to say, it's on me. It's my fault. And it takes even more energy and effort to uh, pull back when they said that thing. And you're like, you're right. You could crush them with what you're about to say with truth. But that then again takes you out of control and leaves you as a victim. So today we're going to be talking about taking ownership of everything. Take ownership for everything, and you will be freed compared to being the victim. So,
Mm.
Sean, do you feel that?
I feel it a lot, man. Yeah, extreme. I read a book years ago, and it was called Extreme Ownership.
Mm.
And that was about the only book I read on ownership, but that was the only book I needed to read on ownership because it hence the title, it's extreme ownership. And extreme ownership basically comes down to everything from the decisions, from the choices that you make in life, for the actions that you make in life, and then there are consequences, right? And then at the same time, without blaming the economy, without blaming the environment, without blaming your spouse, your kids, your employees, your team members, your business partner. That is extreme ownership, is embracing that accountability for every action, for every decision that we take, going to the coffee shop, starting the business, implementing a system or a process. Oh, and guess what? You remember that employee that you hired 6 months ago, and now your customers are upset, they're leaving you, and on top of that, they stole funds from you, or they're not following the systems and process. Guess whose fault that is? Not the employees, you. Yes, you
Mhm.
listening to this. That's extreme ownership. Who's the one that hired that employee 6 months ago? You did. right? You're the
Yeah.
business owner, you're the leader. They're the one implementing the systems and processes. Obviously, that's their character and their morale, but you can't control that. What you can't control is, hey, you hired that person to take extreme ownership. It's a challenge. It's a big pill to swallow. Once I learned this and once I understood this, it was just how you do one thing is how you do everything. So everything that goes on in these different areas of life, my health, my wealth, my fitness, my conversations with my spouse, if we're doing good, if we're not doing good, if we are having conversations, good quality conversations, or not having good quality, I accept full responsibility, full ownership.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like you have two choices. And I always say this, I love saying this on the podcast. There's two forks in the road. There's the fork in the road that most travel, and there's a fork in the road that less travel.
Mm.
Most people are taking the victim mentality. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. Early and often in my teens and 20s, I'm sure I applied that victim mentality. Not my fault. I hear that all the time. Not my fault. That is one of the biggest statements I cannot I just don't like hearing that. Not my
Yeah.
fault, right? And in my mind, like it's my fault, and I don't even
Yeah.
know the situation.
Well,
So
it's
just
like traffic. It's a perfect example. Well, the reason I'm late is because the traffic.
yes,
It's such an easy one to do, and it's very simple, but it relates to all things because it's hard to say I made a mistake, like I didn't do what I needed to do. All eyes on me, because that means trouble. That
yeah,
means I'm less than. That means I'm not good. It means there could be a consequence, and if I blame somebody else, it might mean I get to get out of the consequence somehow. At least there was a reason why, and you know what it leaves you with? I don't need to change. It's a defense mechanism. I don't need to change. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
yep,
But if you say, nope, it wasn't the traffic, it was me,
right,
I'm going to have to leave earlier. I'm going to have to plan better. I'm going to have to
yes,
structure my day to around where I won't be late. And that's hard, right? That's hard because you have to change who you are and your nature at that
yeah.
point. And that I'm using that simple example, but it's true for everything.
Well, that's the guy I want to hang around, right? And if you're listening to this, wanting to level up and live your life, having that mentality, do you have the ownership mentality? Do you have the victim mentality? Well, if you're wanting to hang around other mentors and coaches and people that are leveling up and continue to work on themselves and become the best version of themselves and putting themselves in these environments, I can tell you right now, I'm only wanting to hang out with the ownership mentality guys.
Mm,
I will pick apart immediately if you have a victim mentality,
yeah.
right? And so I will spend, sure, you may be a loved one, you may be a family member, you may be a friend but I am very cautious and very conscious about, okay, cool. Well, this is how we're showing up right now. And I want to try to surround myself with people that, hey, call me out. If I'm playing a victim card right now or am I playing the blame game, Ewan, call me out.
Mm, mm,
If you're
yeah.
listening to this
Me too.
and I'm playing the victim game and I'm not playing the ownership game, call me out.
You
I'll
don't
swallow
want
my
to be
pride and
playing the
ego.
victim game. You don't want to be playing that game. You
No.
want to be once you have the freedom to take ownership,
Yeah.
there is no limit on ownership. You can own everything. With victimizing, so that's growth, right? You can expand with, like, I'll take that and I'll take this and I'll handle it, because what does ownership do? It's taking action, it's doing something about it, it's changing,
Yes.
being open to change. But if you're a victim, it makes you smaller and smaller and smaller, and your impacts get smaller and smaller, to the point where you are miserable, like you're hurting yourself, right? That's
Yes.
what I know, and I'm saying that not because I read it in a book, but because I've done that so many times, and it's so easy to be like, it's their fault, and
Mm.
this is why I am where I am. And
Yes.
it just doesn't do what you think it's doing for you. You think it's releasing you, but it's actually imprisoning you. And so taking ownership is a superpower. It really is a very rare superpower.
Yes.
It takes work, it takes effort, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to
Speaking
take
of
ownership.
speaking of speaking of adopting a proactive mindset, so and you'd mentioned this a little bit ago on seeking a solution. That is that forward thinking. That is that true ownership is seeking a solution. So the victim is always going to be they're not solution oriented, but the guy that's going to be extreme ownership, accepting full responsibility, whether it's faulted or not, it's how can we resolve this? Like the coffee shop incident. Okay, hey, what happened? What happened was what happened. You put yourself in the environment. You decided to go get the coffee shop. You decided to sit there, and then that person bumped up against you. Cool, own it. So let's seek a solution, right? How are we going to show up? How are we going to react to that environment? Let's go get a towel. Let's dry this up. Let's go change shirts, right? Let's start focusing on the solution and take initiative rather than waiting for things to happen, rather than waiting for explosiveness. Because when you wait, when you remain in that waiting zone, that's when your mind starts going. It's like, well, it's not my fault. It's his fault. And you start blaming. You start
Yeah.
blaming that person. You start blaming that the economy, or you start blaming that advisor, that advised you to keep it in this stock, but and
Mm.
you trusted all your allocation in that advisor. It's not the advisor's fault. Guess whose fault it is? Yours,
Yeah.
because you didn't educate yourself. You weren't proactive, and you're the one who trusted in the advisor. So that's extreme ownership. Share a quick little story. 6 weeks ago, I did not take ownership, Ewan.
Mm.
I tried to play the victim card, and it was leading up to Nice, France, right before, about a week in advance, where we headed off to the High Rocks Competition World Championship. And I was getting things done. I had that week. I had a lot of things going. We had the podcast scheduled. We had guests. We had to get, a dog sitter. We had to make sure things were getting taken care of. And I was making things happen. I took my truck to the Ford dealership here locally in Conroe, got up there, had it all appointment, and show up, hand them the keys. I get a phone call from my dad. My dad goes, "Hey, son." I said, "Hey, Dad." In that moment, I was like, I'm just gonna take this phone call because it's my dad. Maybe he needs something. He typically doesn't call me; he always texts me. So I'm gonna be there for him. I'm gonna take him. But I was in a hurry. I was doing things right. When he called me, he started talking to me, and my dad likes to talk, and so we talked. I said, "Hey, Dad, in the middle of something, and making sure everything's okay." He said, "Yes." He said, "Hey, by the way, I need the tags on the trailer from our prior landscape company that we sold 2 years ago." He said, "It's still sitting in my place and the tags are out. I didn't get it taken care of last year. So can you go take it care of? They need your signature at the title place." I said, "Dad, well, I'm in the middle of stuff right now and I'm taking care of things, and I'm headed to Nice, France in about 4 days. Can this wait?" "No, it really needs to get taken care of right now." And so all I'm hearing in my mind is like, "Oh, you're not hearing my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts. Like, you're not hearing what I'm telling you. You're only hearing what you're saying." I was immediately playing the victim card because I was only concentrated on what was going on in Sean's life, not my dad's life, who never calls me and asks for things,
Yeah.
right? So immediately I said, "Dad," I said, "Look," I said, "Man, give me a couple weeks. Right now is not the right time." And I kind of rushed him off the phone. Immediately, I was like, that wasn't the right approach. And we both like kind of clashed because we're strong personalities. So we ended the phone call, and I knew I wasn't going to get a text message or a phone call from him. Right. So I didn't stare it down. I didn't sweep it underneath the rug. I said, I'm going to go back to my busy lifestyle, and, we'll make amends in a week, 2 weeks. And I remember having a conversation with Kendra. I said, "This is the way Dad showed up. And I just, this is my side of the story. And it shouldn't have went like that." I even shared it in our mastermind group, and y'all were like, "Yeah, that's kind of weird that, Dad showed up like that." And I was sitting here thinking like, yeah, yeah, I'm the right guy here. I'm the victim here. Right. And here we are. Fast forward 2 weeks. I get back to Nice, France. I'm like, dude, this has been weighing on my heart, man. It's been subconsciously going on my, I did not like the way I showed up. I did not like the way I played that. I could have approached that in a whole different manner. Dad was just needing some help. He was just needing me to talk him through this. He just needed me to show up for him. He does never ask me to do things. So I said, "You know what? It's time to own up. It's time to put the big boy pants on." So I came in here, podcast studio, took a big gulp because it's kind of hard talking about these things with my dad. I called him. I said, "Dad," I said, "Look, hey man, I, I'm gonna own it. I'm so sorry for the way I treated you and the way I acted. I should not have reacted and treated you the way I did that day at the dealership. I'm sorry. I apologize for you. My behavior, my attitude has just been unacceptable for the last 1 or 2 weeks. I'm not even going to sit here, Dad, and give you any excuses on what's been going on in my life. I take extreme ownership. I'm asking for forgiveness right now, Dad. And we both, he kind of teared up. I teared up. He said, "Son, I forgive you." And we started talking. I was like, "Man, sometimes these stubbornness, this hard headed mules come back in us. We can
Yeah.
do all this do all this growth, personal development, and think we're on the right track, and then boom, we get hit with trying to play the victim card in this case. And at the end of the day, uh, I didn't play my cards the way I should have, so I wanted to take extreme ownership and own my part of it, right? Whatever he does or says is up to him, but I'm going to take extreme ownership in this situation. And it was a hard pick. It was a big pill to swallow, but after I got done
Dude,
doing that,
beautiful.
our relationship has just grown stronger, and yeah, I'm just mad at myself that it took me 2 weeks to do that,
Yeah.
on owning that.
But man, look at the result and what happened with all that. That's how you then know to speed. Like next time,
Yes.
maybe it takes a
Yep.
week, maybe it takes a day. Because look at the result of you taking ownership, and that must have impacted your dad too. That changed him too.
Yeah.
What would you have said? Because you said, man, it's brought you guys closer. And that must have even been kind of strange for him to hear this,
It
right? Like
it
he
it
must have been
was.
maybe shocked. Like so, what was kind of his experience?
Yeah, when he heard me say that, it was kind of like a aha moment. It's like, oh my gosh, my son is calling me and telling me, hey, he's sorry right now and he's owning up to it. And I think that's why he teared up. We both kind of teared up on the
Yeah,
phone. And then he goes, and my dad's kind of like, strong personality. He's like upbeat, let's go, make some things happen. Strong, just kind of similar to me. And on the phone, it was kind of like, well, son, you know, we're imperfect. We're human beings.
beautiful.
And what matters right now is that you called me and you said, I'm sorry. And you
Mm,
owned up to it.
it's
And it immediately
beautiful.
put a smile on my face, dude. I was like, that's my dad. I was like, man, I'm so grateful that you gave me grace, Dad, because it was hard for me. It was hard for me in that environment, just my relationship with my dad. But to own up to that, because we're both like, we've always been strong personalities. So that sometimes that pride and ego can get in the way. And usually I can be the bigger person. But it was hard for me in those 2 weeks. I was playing the victim card and I was like, nope, this is what I'm going to do because my dad and I love him. But after that, man, it's just like almost like our relationship just got that much stronger. It's
Yeah,
like even though every time we see him, we talk and we have a good time, we have a good laugh, and we go about it in that way and talk about his interest. This like was a setback or a challenge, but because I owned up to it and didn't play the because I feel like so many of us we play that victim card and we play that out for months after month after month.
yeah.
And I used to be that guy
The
where I
poison.
played. What's that?
It's a poison
It's a
because it
poison,
eats at
dude.
you.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really. We talk about this all the time. Getting comfortable, getting uncomfortable.
Yeah,
So that was uncomfortable for me to do that. So I find if somebody's listening to this, like, where can you get uncomfortable? And by flexing that muscle, by putting in those reps, having that conversation, it just strengthened my relationship with them because I owned up to it.
yeah,
Whether I was right or wrong doesn't matter. Just like same thing in the coffee shop. Whether the person that hit the person was right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Extreme ownership is like, hey, what happened was what happened. What I said was what I said. But it pulled us apart.
yeah,
So I need to take extreme ownership. And that's the same thing with having conversations with employees, same thing with any area of life. And it's like, are you taking extreme ownership going down the road less traveled, or are you going down the road most traveled where you're trying to play the victim card? Both roads are hard, but choose your hard. Which one is going to get you to where you want to
yeah.
be?
That's so true, man. It just making me realize I don't think there's an occasion where ownership doesn't bring people together. And I
No.
don't know if there's a version of being a victim pointing a finger that doesn't push people away, right?
Yeah.
Because the person that bumps the shoulder and the coffee goes in the computer, and you're like, "How dare you do this to me? Like, what you idiots! Like, you're repelling this person." As opposed to they bump you, you spill the coffee, and they're like, "I'm so sorry that happened," expecting you to be upset, and you're like, "Hey, I sitting too close. I chose to
Yes.
come here today. Not your fault." A person's like, "Who is this person? Thank you for setting me free."
100%. That other person, because you just showed up like that. Think about my dad. Think about that person at the coffee shop. Think about your employees. If you show up that in that ownership mentality, they're gonna and versus the victim mentality and pointing the fingers, they're going to that is a role model, that is a mentor, that is somebody that is taking that extreme ownership. And then now your mind, your beliefs, your mindset is, oh, maybe I'm the way I just reacted was wrong.
Yeah.
How do I need to show up differently moving forward and accept that extreme ownership? And when I think about that, I think about with employees, like how we show up, and are we taking extreme ownership or are we not taking extreme ownership? And then here's the beautiful thing. If you're playing the victim card, guess what? Your employees are playing the victim card. Your spouse is, your business partner is, right? You're the average of the 5 people that are influencing you. I heard that recently, not the average
Mm,
of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, but the 5 people that let influence you. I really like that.
yeah, that's really good, dude. Because
And
yeah, not everybody influences you,
exactly.
even though you're around them. But yeah, that's a great point, man. And expectations as well with ownership. If you expect somebody else to do it and it's not clear, if expectations are not clear, and it's something's not being done, and you're bothered by it, that's a great chance. Speaking to myself here, to take ownership of that. I'm
Yes.
thinking about leaving early for church. I'm always more. I'm pretty much always on time. I don't like being early, but you've taught me to be early a little more, so I'm more and more showing up early. I just it's not in my DNA, but I hit my target.
Nice.
And if there is an issue, and we learned this from Landmark, I'll say, hey, if this happened going forward, I'll do this going forward, so it won't happen again. That's integrity, getting back in integrity.
Yep.
But if my expectation is, well, they handle that, the reason we're not able to execute on leaving early, and this is again a very simple example, but it's true. It just gets even more true as things get more complex. Like
Yep.
if there's anything said like that, that's it right there. I need to make sure I'm setting alarms so everybody knows to leave by this time. And
Mm.
if it didn't work this week, then I know I need to shift that back. Even though I thought it was somebody else's responsibility to do that, it's my responsibility. Because if it's not being
Yes.
done, it's on me then. If I'm the one upset or frustrated by it, it's on me to do something about it, not on them.
Yes.
Right? Because I could say, well, you're not doing X. Okay, great. Where did that just leave me?
Yeah.
You're not doing X. Well, now I'm a victim. Nothing's getting done. They're upset. What did you expect them to do? Right?
Yes.
Like, no, no, they're not a slave, right? Like, they're not going to just go, okay, now I'm going to have it all handled. Thanks for making me take ownership. No, I'll take ownership by example, right? And lead.
Mm.
And that bleeds out. Other people start taking ownership around people who take ownership, and
Yep.
that rises all
Yes.
ships.
Yes. Beautifully said, man. You hit the nail right on the head. And that was the thing that I resonated most with what you're saying is like, even though like the other people around you could have set those alarms and helped you leave on time, but that's the victim. That's the one like, oh, you're
Yeah.
looking outside. You're looking for outside validation, or like you should have done this. No, no, no.
Yes.
Look within. What could
What did
you
I
have
not do?
done? Yes,
Yes.
what did I not do? And so for me, it's like if I'm the victim and it's me and you, and you're showing up like that, and then you say, hey guys, I'm gonna accept I'm gonna accept full responsibility right now. Moving forward, I'm gonna put it on the calendar. I'm gonna put it on my phone. We're gonna leave 15 minutes early, and we're gonna get there on time, which is early. And then if we're on time, we're late. Okay, cool, Ewan. What? Yeah, that's fine. But now I'm watching your actions. Now I'm watching what you're saying, and to me, that's what's going to influence because I'm around you.
Yeah.
How he just showed up is going to make me think differently over time. It's going to flex that muscle. It's going to flex that subconscious mind. Like, wait a minute, I've been in this situation before. I've been in this experience before. I need to like maybe I need to shift my mindset a little bit with how I've showed up in the past and not play the victim card but play the ownership card. So take that with a grain of salt. Maybe you are playing the victim card in one area of life, and so if you are, for me, it's like ask yourself, well, where does this show up in traffic, at the coffee shop, with my employees, with my spouse, with my team members, and have that I feel like have that conversation with the one or two people that you consider a role model in your life to hold you accountable with that. And because doing it by yourself, subconsciously you don't know if you're doing it if you've already created yourself a bad habit. The reason you've been able to level up is because I think you've surrounded yourself with strong personalities. If you're hanging out with a Sean or a Kendra, right, we're gonna hit you in the jugular if you show up late.
Yeah.
And then all we're doing is accepting, hey, extreme ownership here. And I'll take it even further. One thing that you've mentioned is that's kind of enlightened me is when when you would show up like 1 or 2 minutes, and this didn't happen a lot. So to give you the benefit of the doubt, like you always showed up on time, right on time. But then there was times that you would show up a little bit late because, and then I remember your language when we were meeting at Silverback at 5:30. You would always go straight to the weather or traffic. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, that's not extreme ownership.
Yeah.
Like, so what? Like, leave 15 minutes earlier, you know? But where this has enlightened me is as I never said anything. I just played the victim card with you, to a
Yeah.
certain degree. And
Yeah.
I feel like extreme ownership, especially business owners and entrepreneurs, is where are you holding each other accountable in that regards with
Yeah.
that ownership? Like, okay, hey, is there anything I could have done something different? Like I've been like you, and is there anything differently that I could have done? Like maybe send you a text message or maybe give you a call, or if it's raining, like not
Yeah.
every day it's going to rain, but if it does rain, just make sure hey, by the way, friendly reminder, you're leaving a little early today, blah, 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 whatever it may be
Yeah.
to help with that ownership, in doing my part. Because if I'm just waiting for you and you show up late and I say, okay, cool. Yeah. Hey, this is what you're going to do moving forward, but you keep letting it doing over and I'm not saying anything, then I'm at fault too. I'm playing the victim card too, along with you and not taking that extreme ownership
And
with
to
you.
add on to that, my lack of ownership, taking ownership of that impacts yours, right? And it's either
Yes,
spiral down or spiral up.
that's right.
It's just like you said, So you, because I would take ownership of that and put you in that position, right?
Yes.
There's an example of taking ownership right there. Is like I shouldn't have put you in that position, and that's
Yep.
me taking ownership. And then you say, no, I put myself in that ownership because in that position because I didn't do that. So there's two people who are
Mm.
getting closer together, and that's respect. Now having that conversation, I'm like, I'm doing what I need to do to keep the respect and the love right there,
Mm.
right? Like that makes
Yes.
you want to do more and be better. And there's a vision
Yep.
of being something that you weren't before, and that's powerful, man. Very powerful.
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing you say is that's more of like, hey, let's learn from our mistakes. And then also too, it's almost another level to that is emotional ownership. Man, think about that for a second, right? So everything we've talked about is whether it's a mistake or whether we're learning from it or whether it's a victim or ownership mentality, but talking about emotional ownership, right?
Yeah,
Managing those emotions and the reactions. So you can easily react in that environment at Silverback because you showed up late because I am going to hold you accountable and I'm going to play the ownership card. You could easily react and go, don't talk to me like that or don't say that, right? So I think, and this is maybe for the sake of time, but emotional ownership,
yeah,
managing your emotions and taking responsibility for how you respond to those challenges of what I'm about to tell you, as far as showing up late and what we can do moving forward.
yeah.
Right. So
It's a
that
great
emotional
point.
ownership as well is a key aspect into to taking salt with the wound and swallowing the big pill and really being open to that role model, that person that, hey, however they're showing up, emotionally, I'm gonna rise,
Yeah,
right? I'm gonna arise right now. Think about
yeah,
my dad and me, and that conversation would have been a lot different if dad would have sensed emotionally that I was kind of pressured. I was kind of, busy and I was doing these things. And if he would have sensed that emotionally, like, man, this isn't the Sean I know. Let me go ahead and level up and manage my emotions right now and be more open to, okay, hey, I know you're busy. Let's talk about this. When's a better time to talk with you about this?
yeah.
So managing, owning those emotions when you read the other person's body language and how they're showing up, because you were kind of semi stressed, right? You had been waking up early, you weren't used to it. The weather, you were late, you felt bad. So
I
all
already
these things,
knew I felt bad because I already feel bad because I know I'm late and I don't like
yeah,
being late. I hate it. And so
mm,
I'm already in a bad state because I've
yep,
not done what I needed to do in the first place. So you're right. Like that might not have been a great moment to, or I know you say something like, man, how do you feel right now about that? I'm like, man, I feel absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
like, man, that really sucks, dude. Like, I hate that for you. And
Yes.
then I'm like, yeah, man, it's, and me taking ownership. That's unacceptable going forward. And you say, hey, well, what would you want to do? I don't want you to feel bad. What could you put in place going forward
Yes.
to make sure
Yes.
you don't ever feel like this again? Because I hate that for you. And I
Yes.
say, man, I'm going to do this and this. And
Yep.
then bang, right? And this is just an example of any conversation with
Yes.
anybody at any time,
Yes.
and or like you said, if it clearly they're not in a good place to have that conversation, like maybe I'll bring that up later
Exactly.
and they'll be in a better place. But that's ownership, man. It's
Yeah.
hard, but
It's
great. It's beautiful.
when you have two people going at ownership together, right? Whether it's a business partner, your spouse, and even your employees, you become an unstoppable force because you both are accepting uh, ownership. And
Yeah.
man, I'll tell you right now, a lot of my team members, they listen to the podcast, and I'm just so proud, right? And I've had to work really hard at this, but they accept ownership in what they do on a daily basis, the activities, the phone calls, the emails, the sales, the lack of sales, anything within the agency. Every single one of them. That's right. They're listening to this. Every single one of them. I'm so proud. I'm so grateful that I get to work alongside of these individuals because they just accept the ownership, right? And that goes for Kelly, that goes for Kendra, that goes for Janice, Ewan, Heinemann. I'm speaking to you too, man. I'm talking, Christian, Donald, Janice, Tina, and Brandon. These individuals accept extreme ownership, and it's just such a beautiful thing when you have this team, when you have this mission, this vision, and you're all on this ownership because the one person decides to not play the victim card and play the ownership card, and then be the role model for everybody else around you. How everybody else just lifts everybody up, because there's days where I'm like, I don't want to accept
Yeah.
ownership, just like with my dad.
Yeah.
But if my dad has that mentality, like, this is one of those moments, he's not feeling it. He's pressured. He's got a lot of things going on. I'm going to rise above right now, and I'm going to
Mm.
accept ownership emotionally. And then I'm going to be like, whoa, my dad just showed up like that, right? And that's going to lift me up. So,
It's a
man,
level up
five
skill.
people, a lot of lot,
It's a level up in
it
living
is
skill set to take down
Ex-
ownership, man.
exactly, man. So outside of that, a little over on time. Thank you so much for listening to this. So let us know. Send us a DM. Send us a text message, 936-788-4295. Ownership, if you lack ownership and you have a story you want to share with us, or maybe there's something, a topic or theme that you want us to talk about in the future, we're always open to hearing the challenges, the obstacles, the problems that our entrepreneur and business owners friends are facing. So make sure you text us, 936-788-4295. Ownership, so you know what episode you listen to. Subscribe, share this with another business owner or entrepreneur, salesperson that may struggle with ownership, that needs that help, that needs that guidance. And outside of that, level up and live.
Level up and live.